Hi guys, today's video comes to you from a personal place. I want to talk to you guys about bleeding disorders. And what I mean is I'm going to talk to you about a specific bleeding disorder called von Willebrands disease. Von Willebrands disease is a bleeding disorder that was named for Erich Adolf von Willebrand in 1926. It affects men and women equally and is found among all races, ethnicities, and economic statuses. It affects 60 to 120 million people across the globe. It's a lot of people. Von Willebrand disease is an inherited bleeding disorder, which means that it gets passed down from parent to child. In most cases, from the offspring of a man with von Willebrands disease and a woman who does not have von Willebrands disease, there's a 50% chance that their children will have this disorder. What a person who has von Willebrands disease doesn't produce enough of the von Willebrand factor, which I'll talk about in a little bit, or the factor doesn't work. And this factor protects factor 8, which is the main missing factor in hemophilia. And when it doesn't work properly or there isn't enough, it just means that that person's blood is going to take a while to clot properly. However, when you're testing for von Willebrands disease, it's really easy to mistake von Willebrands for hemophilia, just because if you have low factor 8, you're also going to most likely have low von Willebrand factor. So those two almost go completely hand in hand. So there are some differences between von Willebrands disease and hemophilia. For starters, hemophilia mainly affects males, whereas von Willebrands disease affects males and females equally. Also, the symptoms of von Willebrands disease aren't as dramatic or as visible as hemophilia. Plus, the symptoms will vary considerably from person to person. Another difference is there are no high-profile cases of von Willebrands disease. A lot of people know about hemophilia because of the one Russian royal family, because of inbreeding, hemophilia popped up. And hemophilia has also been documented in Queen Victoria's bloodline. Interesting, no? However, von Willebrands disease and hemophilia are two completely different disorders. They involve different proteins, different defects in the clotting process, different ways of being inherited, different symptoms, and different treatments. Some major symptoms of von Willebrands disease include easy bruising, frequent or prolonged nosebleeds, heavy or prolonged menstrual periods, and heavy or prolonged bleeding following surgery, injury, dental work, or childbirth. There are 3 different types of von Willebrands disease. There's type 1, type 2, and type 3. Types 1 and 3 are quantitative defects, whereas type 2 is a qualitative defect. Type 1 is the most mild and common of the disorder, whereas type 3 is the most rare and the most severe. The difference here is, in type 1, it's a quantitative disorder, which means you have it, but you don't have enough of it. So your von Willebrand factor levels are going to be kind of low. Type 3, on the other hand, you don't have it at all. It's essentially not there. And in type 2, you have the von Willebrand factor, but it doesn't work properly. And type 2 has a few different subsets, but I'm not going to get into those because they're a little bit difficult to explain. What will determine, like I said earlier, what determines if a child will have von Willebrand's disease depends on 2 different things. One being that one or both parents have the defective von Willebrand factor gene, and if this gene gets passed down or not. For example, my father has von Willebrand's disease, and it's type 1, and my mother does not. I got lucky, and I ended up having von Willebrand's disease. And I've got some more information for you guys in another video, and I have done an interview with a couple of my friends who live with this disorder, have a similar disorder, and I will be bringing that to you guys next week. Just leave me some comments if you found this interesting. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for any other fun videos that I could possibly think of putting out for you guys. And as always, DFTBA.